Welcome to the Real Chili Podcast.
And the Golden Eagles of Marquette University in Milwaukee are bound for the Final Four for only the third time ever.
5 seconds left. Marquette down by one, trying to avoid the upset. Blue the drive, the left hand. It's good. 1 second to play. Vander Blue has put Marquette in front by one.
And I want to win every day as basketball players, as students, and I want to win every day, most importantly, as people.
It's okay, everybody. You can check your shorts. Hopefully there's nothing there, and your life has not ceased to exist. Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Real Chili Podcast, a relieved edition of the show. I am Brian Henry, joined alongside by maybe the second happiest man in North America, Mr. Pete Mohan. Pete.
Good to be here. Yeah. I was not getting an echocardiogram during the game, but I feel for you if you were, because your doctor has you in the ICU at this point.
If you were buried under a rock yesterday, Marquette kept its season alive with a thrilling, I'm kidding, it was not thrilling, it was awful to watch, 72-69 victory over DePaul.
You know what it was like, Brian?
What was it like, Pete?
It was like this whole season has been the Shawshank Redemption.
Ooh, I like when
and this DePaul game was our crawling through the shit in the pipe on the way out. We came out the other end barely alive and covered in shit.
Oh my God.
Rain pouring on us. But we're free.
Mercifully, Marquette did not lose to DePaul for a second time this season, which I think it's agreed upon from coast to coast that we would have just had to shut the program down for a year if that was the case. Self-imposed death penalty or get relegated to the Horizon League, one or the other.
Yeah.
Just can't lose to DePaul twice. So here's what's crazy about that game, Pete, is the first half went about as well as you would have thought. 12-point lead at the break. Rousey got loose, hit a bunch of shots. You knew DePaul knows their season's over. They're miserable. Everyone's about to get fired in their athletic department. Like, they want to go home. They don't want to practice anymore. And when you have a double-digit lead at the break, it's like, okay, hit a couple more shots, and these guys are just going to roll over and die. But oh no, number 31 in your program and number 1 in your heart, Max Struss. Holy crap.
Struess. The Struess got loose, Brian. The Struess got loose.
No one could guard him.
Well, I mean, that's kind of his MO is his, he'll take ridiculous off-balance three-point shots. And he did that. Here's the thing, is so much of it is his MO that he hit the most incredible shots to bring them back into the game, and then the wide-open look he had at the buzzer to beat us, he choked.
I'm with you. I don't want to analyze the entire second half of that game. I want to just focus on the last play, Pete. And before we dive into the main event, which is Villanova tonight, I cannot begin to express my bewilderment at how the best player who has been killing you in this second half gets wide open off one ball screen for a game winner. We were just a missed jump shot by the best shooter on the opposing team away from having an apocalypse podcast today. And by the grace of God, he missed it. We got completely turned on a top of the key ball screen and let Max get a wide open left wing three. And we're very fortunate to win that game.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you saw the Rousey post-game interview at all, Brian.
I did not. Please educate me.
But
it was a little late, so I was crawling into bed. After
it was
a few pops.
It was funny because, well, obviously, rewind it one possession. We had the ball, and Rousey tried to dribble it through the entire DePaul team and fumbled it off his knee, leading to a turnover and a timeout for DePaul, which set up their final possession. So, he kind of owned up to that turnover, that he shouldn't have dribbled through everyone, and that's on him. And then the analysts go to discuss the final play of the game, and they run it back, and they're like, talk us through what's going on here. And basically he was like, yeah, blah blah blah. I didn't get the right switch from Sakar, or something like that. It essentially sounded like it was totally Rousey's fault, and that he blew both of the last two plays of the game, and somehow.
Stunner.
Yeah.
One of our 5'10" guards made an egregious defensive error. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So,
which in no way will that be, a critical. What's the word I'm looking for? In no way will that be a brutal defect tonight against maybe the best guard in the country. But I digress.
Well, I mean, Rousey should be playing like he has a second life or a ninth life. I mean, he is lucky that he's not feeling the way that Max Strus was feeling going off that court, because he was an inch or two away from that ball going in, and him being the absolute reason that we choked at the end of the game. So Rousey should be feeling pretty good. I mean, his smile was pretty big in that post-game press conference as well. I think he knows. I think he knows that things could have gotten away and didn't. And I think that he'll come out pretty strong in this Villanova game, knowing that he's got a second lease on life.
So as much as we want to say almost, and can you believe, hey, they didn't lose, as Pete just said. They found a way despite a surge of errors down the stretch. They didn't blow it. So here we are. It's Thursday. The Big East quarterfinal streak lives. Marquette has never missed the Big East quarterfinals since joining the conference in 2006. So here we are tonight, Pete. I don't know how many, but at least 5-6+ weeks at number one in the nation this year. They're in the top 5 right now. I think we're going to get a pissed off Villanova team that didn't win the Big East regular season title. I think we're going to get them focused and ready to play. Now, what we're here to discuss is what scenario does Marquette find a way to win tonight. I think the win against DePaul puts them squarely on the bubble, but you need a win tonight to push yourselves over the line. Pete, please find a way to talk me into believing.
Well, I think that you
have something to help and help the people out there that want a reason to turn it on. Because I got to tell you, Lavender has gotten really freaking depressing on the text chain.
Oh my God!
Like his head, he can't function right now. We need help him. He's sitting at his desk in DC. He needs hope.
Help him help you.
Yes.
No, I think that all of you guys have gotten a little depressing coming down the stretch here.
I live in a perpetual state of it, but that's
well. Let's just perspective things for a second. In that,
please do.
We are in a situation currently where we can just not watch the game and flip on Selection Sunday, and there's a chance that we're in the tournament.
That's true. Okay.
So
I can't argue with that.
In some respects, we're playing with house money. Granted, it's the last $20 on our Marquette cash that we're playing with. But
they take Marquette cash and Potawatomi? I'm not sure. I'm sure I tried at some point.
But the jackpot is still on the table, Brian.
Oh, okay.
But I think that there's, to be analogous here for a second, we're on the side of a mountain, and all of our optimism are these tiny little crags where, you're looking at these sports models in these pictures where they're dangling off the side of a cliff. I don't know how they do that, but that's the same thing that Marquette's doing right now. Yep. Just hanging on for dear life by pieces of rock that we can't even see from the angle that we're at. I just think that it's probably thrilling for them, even though it's so difficult. But the optimism is just that you're in this invigorating environment. You're in this exciting moment where slip and you die, pretty much. And
you can't deny, I did this on the short preview pod before yesterday's game against DePaul, and you're basically echoing the same comments. The fact that they're even in this spot after, you recall, after the St. John's loss on the road where they had lost, I think at that point, 5 of 6, and it was over. We all said it was over. There was no way they were going to get a chance to play themselves back into it. And you're right. Here we are. It's college basketball, which is a weird game. Underdogs beat big dogs on a regular basis. It's a 40-minute game. You got to find a way to beat Villanova. We beat them last year, and it probably was an anomaly. But maybe, we're going to tune in tonight hoping for what that maybe is. Look, people, we're decided underdogs in this game. Villanova is bringing 6 players that average double figures onto the court, and potentially the National Player of the Year in Jalen Brunson, who, oh, by the way, has scored 27 and 31 points respectively against Marquette in the 2 games against Villanova this year. And we have no answer for that guy. No answer.
No.
So, the odds are stacked against us. This is not a likely scenario that we're celebrating, but maybe, right? Maybe Rousey can go bonkers for a night. Maybe, Howard can show up, which he didn't do yesterday, right? I mean, that's what we're kind of hoping for.
Well, I think that you can't look at those other 2 games against Villanova and say that we got destroyed in them. I mean, we hung around. We hung with them twice.
In fairness, we hung with them on the offensive end of the court. We did not get stops in those games.
No, we didn't. But that said, there is plenty of tape out there now for Marquette to look at. And I think that if it benefits anyone, it benefits Marquette because
we were at the game in Milwaukee, which was fortunate. We got to watch that in person. We all watched the game at Villanova. Pete, both times, Howard and Rousey played heavy minutes with each other. They got a few more stops in that second game in Milwaukee. If there's going to be a Steve Wojciechowski, I'm going to throw my nuts on the table, and here's what we're going to try and do, and we're going outside the box to find a way to get a few more stops. What is it? Is it sitting one of the guards? Is it playing bigger? Does all of a sudden Harry Froling end up on the court more? Do we see longer stretches of Elliott and Kane at the 2? What do you think?
Well, I think that there's a few critical elements that kind of force Wojo's hand throughout any game, and that's who gets in foul trouble early, which it seems like someone does.
Let's be honest, it'll be Rousey.
Even if it's, it could be anyone. It could be Hauser or Helt or someone, and I think that a lot of times our defense is dictated by who gets fouls first. So I certainly don't hope that happens, but after last night when we basically threw every foul we possibly could at DePaul.
Look, I am never one to complain about the refs, but holy smokes, guys, swallow the whistles just a little.
Yeah.
Man.
I wouldn't say that they were biased.
There was no flow to that
way,
game. That game was hard to watch.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think to continue to answer your question, I think we just need to do things that keep Nova in, just contained. And I think that the way that they get uncontained and they break out is when you start to trap and guys get totally open looks, their passing gets on point, and they just get on a run and destroy you. Well, I was going to say that's why I think the zone is something that should be applied here because
you may be right.
It's something that lulls you to sleep. While I will be a little bit worried about our rebounding in the zone, I just think that constantly throwing a zone or mixing it with some man going back and forth is the kind of thing that you need to do to keep Villanova from getting in rhythm on offense and absolutely just running train.
Here's what I'll say. Here's the one thing I cannot afford to watch tonight is, and we saw it in the game in Milwaukee, and I was rewatching some tape. High balls, we know Marquette can't guard the pick and roll because they act like they've never seen it before every time it gets thrown at them. But switching bigs onto Jalen Brunson on a top of the key ball screen, I do not want to see Matt Helt, Theo John, or Harry Froling guarding Jalen Brunson at the top of the key. I don't care what you have to do. You've got to get over the top of those screens or the way you help. And you're right, Pete. If they can't do it, then you almost have to play zone.
Right. Yep.
And that's why because Brunson would just play one-on-one with whoever they ran that screen towards. Now, what was interesting, I think we talked about this after the second Villanova game in Milwaukee where Marquette was right there, lost, I believe it was 83-80 was the final score when they pushed them. The interesting thing about that was that they made Villanova very one-dimensional in that game with Brunson, in that the ball was not whipping around and with the really pretty ball movement that they normally have. They really sat and watched Brunson play one-on-one, and he killed us. But maybe Wojo's thought is, I'm going to challenge him to do it again. I'm going to challenge Brunson to finish every shot, even if he has the advantage, and force him to play, one of his best games. I think he's capable of doing it. You're daring the National Player of the Year to possibly do it. But that had to have been Wojo's thought process. I'm going to take everybody else out of the game and make Jalen Brunson hit everything. And he did.
Let me ask you this question, Brian. And I think, just talking about personnel, in that there's certain defenses you can't do with certain guys on the team.
Right.
If you have Howard and Rousey out there, what defense are you playing?
If you're going zone, you can't have them both up.
Right. So
you have to have Kane or Elliott up at one of those wings.
What is the situation then if you're Wojo where you're allowing one of them to come back in the game? What Villanova roster is out there on the court in a situation where you're comfortable having Rousey and Howard both out there playing defense? Is it when Brunson's on the bench? Is it when they have DiVincenzo and Brunson together or something? What scenario is it okay to have both of those guys out there playing D?
And this is kind of the crazy thing. I don't think it's ever okay with us. I mean, I know why we play them together. I'm tired of watching it. It's one of those things, though, where I guarantee the coaches, you put them in front of you, they say they give us the best chance to win, so we have to play them together. Brunson plays about 32, 33 minutes a game. He's not on the bench that long. He does sit for short stretches. I mean, you're asking me, Pete? No, I wouldn't. But, I mean, I'm not a former National Defensive Player of the Year and a Krzyzewski assistant for 15 years. Like, I would trust Wojo's instincts on how he thinks they need to guard him, but it's hard to say. I mean, they need guys to step up and play the games of their careers tonight. Mm-hmm. Like, they need Rousey and Howard to be great. They need Kane and Elliott to be great. They need Theo John when he's out there to be a menace around the glass. Same thing with Helt. Like, everyone, if anybody's a weak link tonight, you probably get beat. I mean, I don't want to say you have to play perfect, but they've got to play close to it. It's hard. I mean, this is a team that could win the national title. I think they're well-rounded enough to where we could see them cutting down the nets.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very real. You're talking about beating one of the 4 or 5 best teams in America tonight. We're probably not built for that, but this is the situation we're in.
And I think Rousey even mentioned in his postgame is that, we're playing the best team in the country. That's their opinion on Villanova.
Yeah.
We're playing the number 1 team in the country, and we have to upset the number 1 team in the country to guarantee a spot in the tournament.
Right. So
it's a huge order. I think that one thing we need to look for out of Wojo today.
I just want to see something. Do something.
Well,
something different.
I will say
I don't know what exactly it is, but do something different.
If Wojo wins this game, this is his signature win as a coach.
Oh, if Wojo wins this game, many of us have to come on this podcast and live stream eating, just a disgusting crow right out there for everyone, because he would have got us. And I mean,
how about a milk steak?
What's that?
How about a milk steak?
We could. That might be worse, actually.
Well, I think the reason I think that this can be Wojo's game is because when you're talking about Villanova, the only way that you can beat them is by being just as good at them at what they do, and that's fundamental basketball and just knowing your role on the court, making smart passes. So like the brain farts that this team has had throughout the year, things that kill me personally, are those just telegraphed weak passes on the perimeter.
Yes.
Oh my God, those. Then you have the moving screens on offense.
Yes, we cut back on those mercifully.
We have cut back a little bit on those, but we can't have anything like that. We can't have anything like that against Villanova.
Right. And then you can't give possessions away.
Right.
And that's the point you're making. We are not good enough to have 15 turnovers tonight and give them fast break layups. Like, they've got to earn their baskets tonight. If you give them easy you're burying yourself if you do it. Who knows? We don't know. This is the great thing about it. Today is the ultimate, March Madness-esque type day, because we are giant dogs, and we are going to go into this game, kind of on a wing and a. I think does anybody out there think we're winning this game tonight? Have you seen anything on social media from different Marquette accounts? Does anybody think we're winning this game tonight?
I think we have a chance. I would say I'm probably on the optimistic end of the Marquette fan base, but I would give us a 22% chance of winning.
I just pulled it up, Pete. What do you think our friends in Vegas have handicapped this game at?
Oh,
what's your guess? Guess the line today, as of right now.
I'm gonna say they have us at 11.
That's pretty damn good. So right now, Villanova is a 10.5-point favorite.
Ooh.
10.5 points. So Marquette
is a job in Vegas.
Golden Eagles are a double-digit dog tonight. I mean, that's tough. Over under 161.5.
Well, I tell you, if there's a way that we can keep Nova to the under of that 161.5, that's when I think that we have a shot. If we get in a shootout with Nova, I don't know that we can win. We have to be able to get some stops. And look, I mentioned on the last pod we did, they looked mortal when they played Seton Hall last week.
They did.
They missed some shots.
They've looked mortal at times in conference play.
Oh, what? They're 13. They went 13-5 in the Big East.
I thought it was 14-4.
14-4.
I believe so. They were 27-4 overall. So
either way, hey, this
is the thing I'm afraid of. They are pissed that they did not win the Big East regular season title. Since the conference reformed, they've never lost it, and they smoked Xavier twice in this season, and Xavier's the regular season champion. And I think that they badly want to get a chance to play Xavier again and roast them for a third time this season. So that's the one thing of like there's something dangling in front of them where I could see them, very motivated to
and a 1 seed. I mean, I think that Villanova
they win this tournament, they're a 1 seed, no doubt.
They're probably the number 1 overall 1 seed.
A loss today against us could drop them to a 2. Possibly.
I think that they would be a 2 seed, if they don't beat us.
Villanova has much to play for. Marquette obviously has more to play for. We are excited. We will be watching. Terrified through, both hands over our face, looking through a couple fingers. Who knows, folks? All we can do is hope and dream. Tune in tonight, 7:00 Eastern time. It's going to be fun, and hopefully we are coming on here with the most jubilant podcast that we have ever done. So for everyone at the Real Chili Podcast, say your prayers tonight, Marquette and Villanova. We'll talk to you tomorrow.